Okay, very good. I have to call the meeting to order. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of the February 8th, 2013 meeting?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. All right, so we'd like to move up the new business. 1500 Farmington Avenue lateral connection to public sewer request.
Okay. Let me just pull it up on here. Bear with me, it's all the way on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to read it or you want me to read
No,
it?
go ahead.
Okay. The letter is in regards to a request to connect the public sewer lateral located on Arwood Road, the property located at 1500 Farmington Avenue, Farmington, Connecticut. An inspection of the existing subsurface sewer disposal system to install a new septic tank located at 1500 Farmington Avenue, Farmington, Connecticut, was conducted by a CT licensed septic installer on December 29th. The results of the inspection show the property needed either an entirely new system or a connection to city sewer. Soil testing was conducted on January 17th with Joseph Green PE and a representative from the Farmington Valley Health District to investigate the site for future subsurface disposal. Based on the results of the soil testing, the site cannot support a code complying subsurface sewage disposal system as defined in section 19-13B100A of the Connecticut Public Health Code on-site sewer disposal regulations and technical standards for subsurface sewage disposal systems. The attached map from the town of Farmington GIS shows a substantial portion of the above referenced property to be within the state of Connecticut defined wetlands. The soil testing conducted on January 17th showed very poorly drained soils and groundwater, highest 49 inches and modeling at 33 inches. These readings are considered unsuitable soil conditions for sewage disposal purposes per CT Public Health Code on-site sewage disposal regulations and technical standards for subsurface sewage disposal systems. Connecting to public sewers will avoid potential contamination of the wetland soils and avoidance of a failing system that could contaminate surrounding areas. The owner of 1500 Farmington Avenue is requesting approval for the town of Farmington WPCA Commission to connect to public sewer lateral located on Arwood Road due to the supporting factors. This is the attached map.
Just for the record, if you could identify your name and your address.
Vanessa Rodriguez, 1500 Farmington Avenue.
I'm Phyllis Morio, just here,
Support.
really, yeah, support really questions.
But you're not the neighbor, you're a friend or,
Just trying, yeah.
okay. All right. So Mark, as far as the review of the information that was provided here, what your comments on?
Don't see an issue with it. Is there a tank if the ejector pump fails or a check valve on it?
I know it's gonna be a grinder.
A grinder pump?
Yeah,
Yep.
grinder pump.
Okay, usually they're in an enclosure, so if it fails or something, you have like 50, 100 gallons. But
Yeah, and speaking on her behalf, it would be on code compliance or whatever
Okay.
the design engineer.
yeah, that's probably what it is then.
recommends,
Yep.
Whatever the town requires.
Okay,
Hope it into the plan.
yeah, we didn't have any issues with it. It's not really another option.
Okay, and the neighbor obviously approved the easement.
Yep.
Yes,
Correct.
Yeah, how do you know that person?
I have,
Harvard.
I just met her when the investigation happened. My engineer asked me to go talk to her and that's how we met and we've talked about it and she's in agreement.
All right.
Are you paying her anything for the easement?
I offered her financial compensation, but she didn't ask for anything.
Except that.
Yeah,
That's a nice neighbor.
yeah,
Yeah.
very, very nice.
Mark, was there any discussion, I guess, as far as the connection charge?
Not yet. We just wanted to get them through first before we did that.
Offhand, you know what?
Um,
In charge of the flyer roughly.
I can check with building and get back to you on that.
I did speak to Bruce here and he showed me, document that had the different zones.
Okay,
And the prices of it.
okay.
So is there anything else new or different than what you presented here or information?
No.
Sounds like you're going somewhat of a time of yes
Yeah,
situation here. Okay. All right. Maybe you need a
So are
motion.
you just nursing along your current system then, Vanessa?
yes, we're not fully utilizing the water in our home.
Yeah, just with the toilet only and that's. about
Yeah,
it.
showering.
So should we do a motion to?
We'll do a motion to approve and accept it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would make a motion to accept the request to. Put in a sewer line through the neighbor's property and hook up to the Harwood Road sewer.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Hi,
Aye. Motion is carried. Okay, thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
I just have two quick questions. I contacted Bruce regarding this. The first being just making sure that if, especially with the construction going on, if city sewer does get put into Farmington Avenue, that there would be no enforcement for me to connect to the closer city sewer. Is that? is there any
If
way to
you,
get
if you
that?
had this connection made, I can't see that happening. You
Okay,
should be fine.
okay.
And I'll check with Bruce tomorrow, though.
Yeah, that would be great,
Yeah.
thank you. I asked for some sort of written, even if it's just an email.
Yeah.
That documented. And then my second question was, who is the first person I should be submitting the engineered plan to?
Probably Bruce and then Russ Arnold,
Okay,
and then the three of us will probably go over it.
okay, great. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Moving it up in the agenda.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Good night, guys.
Okay, good one.
Thank you.
Made somebody's day.
And you can't
Yeah, I
You
can't-
get a new house and then that
use their
happens.
washing machine and because they're afraid of overflowing the septic system. and everything else.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing. Bill, if you wouldn't mind reading the legal notice into the record.
Notice is hereby given that the Farmington Water Pollution Control Authority will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 8th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Water Pollution Control Facility Conference Room, 1 Westerberg Drive, Farmington, Connecticut. On the proposed 2023 to 2024 sewer operating budget for the wastewater treatment plant and residential sanitary sewer investment. The proposed budget sets the user rate for residential customers at $336 per year, and user rate for the commercial customers at $3.91 per 100 cubic feet used in calendar year 2023. These rates reflect a 4.75% increase over the current rate billed in budget year 2022 to 2023. The annual sewer service charge for elderly congregate housing units and congregate town-owned affordable housing units shall be billed as commercial accounts for the billing cycle. Residential sanitary sewer assessments for 2023 to 2024 will be a 4.75% increase. $12,936.16 for R20 and under. $16,158.68 for R30 and R40. $19,404.23 for R80. Copies of the proposed budget and assessment are on file in the town engineer's office and the town clerk's office, Town Hall, Farmington, Connecticut. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 8th day of February, 2023.
Okay, very good, appreciate that. No one from the public, obviously.
I just checked online too. There's no participants or panelists, so should be good.
Have you heard any discussions, I guess, from anybody?
No, it's been actually, we haven't had any calls. It's been pretty quiet on it. So,
Bill?
Nothing, compared to the town budget, this is pretty good news.
I was gonna say, I got some razzing from somebody to go unnamed here, but as far as our increase. But,
I told CJ Thomas you had to come to our meetings and learn how to, keep the.
so rumors of the.
They don't have their final numbers yet, Bill, so.
It's not gonna be good.
not low.
That's what the person was admitting, that the town is in a lot tougher shape than we are. All right. So I guess we can. Do we have to have a motion to accept?
Yep, we're gonna do a motion to accept the rate increase.
Okay. We're
Did
here.
you do that last time?
I'm sorry, I'll wait for the discussion.
Yes, I think because then I write it up in the minutes that we accepted it, just
Accepted the-
discussed it and accepted it.
I think we last month, we made a motion to approve the submission.
Because it goes in the Hartford Current next month for the public hearing, and then we go over it this month and then accept it.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to accept the budget as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Okay, the motion is carried. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. So what we did, Mark and I were talking about earlier, and we mentioned last meeting, was that, all of our budgets are based on estimates, and some of the things, some of the big changes obviously are estimates. And so we don't really, have any better information than we plugged in here. So we may come out looking like heroes here, but,
We didn't want to come out looking not good.
it's on the conservative side.
Yeah, the two biggest ones were, and we went over it last meeting, but if anybody had questions, was basically the electrical costs and the hauling costs with diesel fuel. So both of them went up basically approximately $300,000. So although we saved money, the outside costs increased. So
Yeah, those are two variable costs to us
Yep.
that you can't pin down.
Now, the other thing that I noticed on the lines and stations, under the full-time payroll, I didn't take my calculator out, but it seemed like those wages increased higher than the treatment plan.
So, yeah, we have two, just because of who we have working on the truck and doing jetting and that, we have two class twos here versus two, we had a 1 and a 2 out there. So it increased a little bit because there's two licensed class twos versus a class 1. The other thing is we have more class twos than we did before, which is actually a good thing. So they did increase a little bit, but it's positive. That's why.
Okay,
But basically just a higher license out doing some of the work on the road.
okay. All right, very good. Under communication, we've got the operating report summary for February 2023.
Let me start with the report and then any questions, let me know. We averaged 3.7 million gallons, max of 5 million, removal efficiencies of 97.5 and 98.6%. We were 32 pounds under the nitrogen permit with a removal efficiency of 87%. Total effluent phos was 1.5. And average cake solid was 18.17, sorry. Any questions on that?
Everything's running right on.
Yeah, it's running well, especially this time of year. I'm just waiting for the rain to start now, because I know it's coming.
April.
Yeah, keep our fingers crossed.
So just stepping back to the budget a minute ago, I was one of my friends from Avon was telling me that his, sewer assessment, I guess, is over $500.
Yeah, I think they're 540 or close to that. So-
Yeah,
For the year,
for a year, yeah.
that's still less than Plainville.
Yeah, but still a lot higher than ours, yeah, and they,
And we had the upgrade and still didn't have a big increase, which is good.
yeah. All right,
Try to get through this one quick. Pump stations, we pulled pump 2 at the Snowberry pump station. We found debris in the pump. And the wet well is also full of debris, so we ended up vacuuming it out with the truck. We took out some property stakes and sticks, so we're not quite sure how they got in there, but they're out of there now. Southward pump station, we pulled pump 1. We had high current on it just for rags inside. That was removed and also put back in service. It's been running fine since that. We installed new batteries for the generators at Batterson, Deverwood, and Stanley. And we began preventative maintenance at Stanley. It's going to be radiator hoses, thermostat, block heaters, and belts for the generator. Collection system work. The month of February, we jetted Arwood Road, Birchwood, Briarwood, Merriman Street, Rosewood Road, Sanford Avenue, Stream Court, and Sylvan Avenue. We helped Highway clean and vac the storm line on Elon Road. They're going to end up digging that up on the discharge side. The line is clear, but years of leaves and silt basically raise the discharge, so they got to dig it out once it warms up a bit or it stops snowing. We jetted the septic tank at the Westwoods Golf Course. We were trying to do a backup on Stream Court. It's a private area. It's in the condominiums, but we jetted it and cleared it for them. We also had the blockage at Fort Birchwood. We jetted and cleared that. Throughout the month of February, we continued to inspect right-of-ways, including the Patrick Flood and Birchwood, and we worked with Highway using the sewer camera to look for problem areas. Repairs and maintenance at the plant. So we had a big repair. This is the one I talked about last month. Let me just scroll down in the pictures. Well, I got these here. So we did the odor control, we did the headworks unit and the transfer unit. So this is what the carbon looks like inside. Basically, the air gets pulled through there. There's a permanganate mixture, which helps for mercaptans, which is just a type of biological odor system. And there's a smaller ones in here, which is just like a carbon media. So this was the big repair we had on the presses. So as these basically thicken the solids, they rotate like a big auger and they go in a reverse cycle, and there's a piece of rubber that rides on the lip of it. I think it's in the last picture. So you can kind of see how it was worn out here. So when it goes in reverse, it doesn't contact the screen and it stops rotating. So we had to pull the whole auger out to replace it. And this part here is actually what is replaced. So this completely gets disassembled.
the gasket essentially.
Yeah, an expensive gasket. And then you pull the whole auger out and it's replaced all along these.
So how long was that in service? Just like 2 years?
For about 4 years, because this was the one we started up before we put the other one in with the crane that went through the roof.
And it was only that gasket that failed?
It's a wearable part. So,
That's what they told me.
From the manufacturer.
yeah, so we had the one as a spare that we got. I've run these before. They tell you X amount of years, it never lasts that long. So we put it in. We have the other one on order. We're gonna do it in about 6 months, well, in about 3 months proactively. So they're staggered about 6 months, and then we're gonna do it every 3 years. So to put it in perspective, we started this on Monday. Tuesday afternoon, it was up and running. If Huber comes out to do this, it's $33,000 per press. So we saved a substantial amount of money. You can see we had to take the gearbox off first. There's a small little area that just from wear and tear, there was a little separation you can see on the bottom here. So we re-welded that, put it back in, and then ended up putting all the pipe back together and getting it up and running. So now we kind of have a system down. We can probably do it in a day next time. So that was the first major repair we had here.
I'm sure you don't hear it enough, but you should be complimented, you know, you and your crew, because I'm sure a lot of.
That's a huge
districts-
job. They absolutely for them.
But you guys do some pretty incredible amount of maintenance that.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't necessarily be done in-house.
No, I know from working in a lot of plants like public and private sector, typically you just call Huber and have him come out. But that's a lot of money. I mean, you'd be spending
Mhm.
66,000 for 2 of them every 3 years. And if it's something we can do in-house, we'll absolutely do it. But no, 100% the crew is they're excellent. So we were able to do it. We fabricated, I'll take pictures this month because we just finished it. We had some square tube and unistrut. So we have a winch on the back now so we can pull it out without the engine hoist. So it should go quicker. But we're happy that one's done. We had a small vacuum leak on the vac trucks. We repaired that. We replaced the UPS units on the blower panels. The media and odor control 1 and 4, which is a headworks in the transfer building, was replaced. And we replaced the air control differential lock on the vac truck. That was the same time we had the vacuum leak actually. We cleaned the injector and paddle wheels on the polymer system. That's part of the dewatering system. It just helps to thicken and flock. We're going to jar test new polymers. Our totes, we go through about a tote every 3 weeks. It's like a 275-gallon container of polymer. When I came here, they were about 2,500 a tote. They're almost 4,700 a tote now. So we go through about 15 a year. So it literally went up $35,000 just for polymer. So we're going to jar test some other ones, see if we can reduce a little cost there. But unfortunately, like a lot of the other things, they're just, some of the prices are through the roof. So we're going to jar test this month. And we fabricated a winch system for pulling the press out for the wiper repairs, and I'll have pictures of that next month. We were 32 pounds under the nitrogen permit for 146. And we had forklift training with Santo, who is our safety guy. And that was on March 3rd, so everybody is certified. And we also have trailer, I think pathogens and one other coming up in the month of March as well. And that should be it.
Okay, any questions on any of that?
Yeah, let me ask you a question going back Mark, to the Horton Heights.
Yes.
So West Hartford homeowners are paying less for the sewer usage.
I believe so. I asked about the whole subdivision there. I think what happened was there was one home there originally, so they basically had to go out because they're adding X amount more.
Right.
So that was why. But I believe they were paying us, correct? Just like we pay them like around the mall for some of the areas there.
Correct. So then what I've never understood is what that we pay to West Hartford, whether we pay West Hartford rates when that our usage is going there, and if they pay Farmington rates when West Hartford's
It's
usage is
Coming here. Let me check
And
with,
and the same for Plainville.
yeah, let me check with Bruce's here on that because he's probably gonna know more about it than I will. And I'll email you on that.
Okay, thanks.
Bruce, yep.
Okay, then we have the lateral report for February 2023. Looks like the Willowbrook was
All right, so West District Road, just a fee levied by WPCA released. Willowbrook, we had 2, the fees collected for the building permit, 3, I'm sorry. 4, yeah. Kent Lane, repair of existing lateral. And Willowbrook was just all fee collected for laterals and building permit.
right. We took care of new business. Do we have any unfinished business? Hearing none. Any other business?
Just one question going back to the point that you all were discussing on Mark's crew, kind of repairing such significant parts. I'm just curious, how do you know how to do that? Does it come with a manual?
I shouldn't say this, but the manuals are terrible. So it's like if you're trying to find something like even in your house and you read the O&M, they're horrible, right? So multiply that by like 30. But for the most part, I'll just say like the crew in any of these plants, like probably power plants, nuclear too, it's like a well-versed crew. So we have guys that were pipe fitters, we have guys that were electricians, we have guys that literally worked on cars their whole life. So there's enough guys mechanically that, yes, it's a big piece of equipment, but it's similar to other things that they've worked on. So literally all of us will kind of come together and brainstorm how we want to do it and go about it. And then we end up, you know, making it easier the next time. So pretty much you have, like you see in the pictures, you know, 7, 8 guys kind of brainstorming and we're able to get it done. But it's just different experienced people, you know, so 2 couldn't do it on their own, 4 couldn't. It's like everybody helping, which is the truth.
Yeah, at the end of the project, all of the contractors have to provide what they call as-built documents and operating and maintenance manual.
I remember us talking about that a lot during the budget process a few years ago.
Because there's a fee or, you know, they have to bill against, that's a billable line item against the construction or whatever, when they provide these manuals. But like Mark said, that half of them are in Chinese, and I mean, you couldn't really
Go through it,
go
yeah.
through it and, you know, actually be able to do the work. If you've got a problem, you could go back and look at it, maybe you find some clues there, but it's really not a step-by-step.
Like the O&M for this piece of equipment, and this isn't a joke, it was if you had, yeah, it's like this thick, number one, there's 3 of them. But for like when you have an issue with the auger, which is, you know, in this picture, and this auger is the length of this room, it's huge.
Right.
So when you went through the book, which we opened up, we looked at it and we kind of already knew what was happening because we knew like torque wise and setting wise, the pressures weren't right. So something was going on. We weren't getting rotation. So it says, you know, check amps, check pressure, check rotation. Then it was like D, pull auger out. That was it. So we're like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's like, that's all you do. And so then obviously you have to come up with the way you're going to do it, right? And the reason why we had the engine lift was, so, and this happens everywhere, but if you see this section of like pipe on the bottom here, we couldn't get the engine lift to access this point because the pipe was in the way. So we had to take the whole pipe off. Then we couldn't get in over this portion because the conduit for this control panel here ran over the top of the press. So then we had to go off an I-beam with the chain fall to get it. So the first time is always difficult.
Yeah, you basically were doing rigging and kind of
to get it to work.
Yeah.
So now we basically wrote like a whole like SOP, you could say. So next time we kind of have a game plan. Like you can see the rigging here. This was off the I-beam because this is the conduit.
Yeah.
So typically when you pull it out, you'd have something right here and just pull it the length, but we hit the conduit above it. So we made a bunch. Yeah, that's how they do that, right? So we made a bunch of different like rigging pieces that we can use next time. And then on the back of it, I'll have the pictures next month where we put the unistrut and the winches on it. So literally it's electrical. You can plug in and probably pull the whole thing out. But
So how much do you think that auger weighs?
the whole unit was 13,000 pounds. I would guess the auger was probably about 3 to 4. So this, I actually think the gearbox was heavier, this piece right here, than the actual auger, because the motor for this entire thing is only 5 horsepower. You can see like the step up ratio is here.
That's it.
That's it. So,
What, you have to pull that auger, the whatever 15 feet or whatever.
Yep.
it is,
and all of this has to come out to pull it out.
And were you able to cleaned it all up before, obviously you started working on it, so it wasn't.
Yeah, no,
that-
everything
that
was
would
pretty,
be-
you can see how, where's the picture it is? You can see how shiny it is.
Yeah.
They're not that shiny when they're working. So we cleaned everything out, and typically we could just put in like a wash cycle where it rotates the spray nozzles in the unit will spray everything and clean it. But it wasn't engaging because it wasn't rubbing on the screen, which is what that wiper is for. And you can see how worn out it was. So typically this lip here would be about maybe like an inch tall, which is what you kind of see in this picture. But it was completely worn, so
So how expensive was the rubber gasket there?
you want to guess?
$5,000?
$4,500 for rubber gasket. So we actually went, there's a place we use in Hartford. They work with Viton, which is like a hard type of rubber. It's like inert to pH like 0 to 14. So it's a pretty good compound to use. We're looking at having them make some of these to see if it might be cheaper. Even if it's 10 or 20 grand, if you're going to do this every 3 years for 10, 15 years, it could pay for itself. So if they can get a mold or something, they have a piece of it now, we're going to see what they can do. So that might help us out too.
Is that one length, Mark?
Yeah, this is about, I say probably 60 feet long because it just wraps around the whole auger.
So probably material wise, I mean, that's probably
Yeah.
$1,000 worth of stuff. but-
That's it.
Yeah, but there's a tool to extrude that to make it, that they're gonna make the money back on. It's very
Yeah.
expensive.
And I think if you look at it, they probably press it out on like a sheet and then they just cut them. So they probably make a bunch at a time. But I mean, and if we used a different compound like Viton, maybe we'd even get a longer length out of it, but we'll see. See what they come back with.
But the scary thing is, I've had experience where I bought, like a chipper.
Yep.
Well, the company, got sold a couple of times and then eventually went to Troy Bill.
Can't get
went out of
anything.
business. So you can't get something
Yep.
like that. So what do you do with the process here if you can't get supposed to keep it operating?
So we have enough spares that we should. A lot of the stuff like we can mix match bearings that would work. 'Cause I mean, really on this, there's the wiper, the auger, there's spray nozzles, which are just like, aluminum nozzles that we could probably weld if there's any major breaks. And then the bearings, which we could replace. So unless something major failed, we should be okay. Huber is pretty established. I don't see him really going anywhere.
You'd be surprised.
But I was gonna say, it could always happen. But yeah, if you lost both of them, you'd be hauling. If you lost one because we changed the pump size and stuff, we can get away with running one press now. But hopefully we're not put in that position. So,
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. Thank you for coming, everybody.